Yo, K-Kunnnn here. I have early access to Lighter, so obviously this is the media server, this doesn't represent the final product, and things are subject to change as always. But with that out of the way, let's unbox Lighter's kit. So first things first, let's focus on Lighter's core passive, which you won't read because this is one long ass paragraph, so I'll just summarize it, even though I think this is going to be the longest segment in the video. You want Lighter to be in the morale burst state to do his by obtaining 80 morale points. So how do you get morale points? Lighter gets 2.9 morale every second, which is indicated under his HP, and whenever a character that also includes Lighter uses their EX skill with energy, every 1 point is equivalent to 0.26 morale. So let's say we use 20 energy, that would be 20 times 0.26 is equivalent to 5.2 morale. If I'm not being a dumbass right now with my math. So now you're in the morale burst state, indicated by the purple colored gauge, or if you look at his glowing gauntlet, you start aura-auraing the enemies by spamming your attack button or holding it. 5 things will happen, assuming you upgrade your core passives to the max. First thing, Lighter's impact will increase by 2% every 10 points of morale consumed, and your maximum impact gain is 20%, which lasts for 6 seconds. Lighter's aura punches can be extended by dodging or sidestepping, and if you're just punching the air in his aura punch mode, it will last for an estimate of 2.5 seconds, but it will reset if you just dodge or sidestep, and you will get an 80% damage reduction as long as you're in his aura punch mode. Next, it will reduce the enemy's ice and fire rest by 15%. And if you have his additional ability unlocked by having an attacker or someone in the same faction as him, he will provide the elation buff, which gives you a 1.26% ice and fire damage bonus for 20 stacks, indicated by this buff marker under his HP bar, or under any character's HP bar. And for every 10 additional impact that exceeds 170 impact on Lighter, it will increase the elation buff by 0.25%. So here's an image showing the buff change. In the bottom, I have 194 impact from his 6 disk drive slot and his signature weapon, while on top I didn't equip him with his Wenjin and 0 impact on his 6 disk drive slot, so you can see the difference here. And lastly, when you end your aura punches, you will do a finishing punch that will put the collapse effect on the enemies, which extends their stun duration for 3 seconds. Now, if you got all that, good! Because everything revolves around this core passive. And maybe subscribing so I can stay in the basement? Thank you very much. So let's see how he plays. And what I'm running on him, it's a no-brainer for all stunners that their best disk drive set is the 4-piece stunner and a 2-piece swing jazz. You could run the fire set, which is the Inferno Metal, if you want to squeeze out some damage, but generally swing jazz lets you have a good amount of energy to use your EX skill. If you're running the Steam Oven Wenjin, you could probably rock the 2-piece fire damage set for more damage, or the 2-piece anomaly if you're running him on a disorder-ish team. But then again, 4-piece stunner and a 2-piece swing jazz is the go-to. But yeah, anyways, when playing Lighter, I think in my opinion, he's quick swap stunner slash support, unlike other stunner agents where you want to on-field them most of the time, which you can also do with Lighter. Nothing wrong with on-fielding him. It's just my opinion and experience from playing him. But the way Lighter's kit work is when you have your morale gauge reach 80 points or more, if you swap into him, he immediately goes in for a knuckle sandwich, and you hold or spam your basic attacks to do his aura punches, getting your elation stacks and lowering the enemy's ice and fire res. This is the case where I have another stunner in the team that's not Lighter. I basically turned him into a quick swap support. Now, let's say Lighter's your only stunner, so you have to on-field him. So when basic attacking with Lighter, you can spam or hold his basic attack, and it can change if you're holding a directional key or pointing your joystick in a certain direction. You will see I'm doing physical damage, but if I let go of my directional keys, bro's starting to kill his enemies with his fire aspect gauntlets. So that's his 4th basic attack. His 1st and 3rd are always going to be physical, and his 4th to the 6th are always fire. So now, you might be thinking to yourself, it takes a while to go into his aura punches, yeah? Hey, don't worry, I got your back, boy. We have multiple ways to skip his first few basic attacks. The first one is using his EX skill, following up with his basic attack by spamming or holding it. Second one, using his EX skill twice when he dive bombs the enemies, jumps backs, and then doing his basic attacks. The third one, doing his shuffle dodge. Okay, what is shuffle dodge? What's the difference between a normal perfect dodge and a quick shuffle dodge? A perfect dodge is pretty standard. I think everybody knows what a dodge is at this point, but a shuffle dodge is activated when you're attacking with lighter. Here you can see in the video the difference between a normal dodge and a shuffle dodge. A normal dodge gives you like a large gap between you and your enemy, while a shuffle dodge does give you a small gap but a good distance enough to punch the enemies. Knowing this is kind of important because your EX skill can change depending on what dodge you do. With a normal dodge, your EX skill is going to do lighter's uppercut move. However, in a shuffle dodge, you will do a quick falcon punch on the enemy. From my experience, especially if you're fighting mobs who does like a back-to-back attack like the butcher, the doggos, you might encounter yourself doing like an EX skill somewhere in the middle for the iframe. And you'll get one or the other depending on what dodge lighter executed. If you get the falcon punch, you immediately go back to his aura punches. If you do this at the start of the fight, if you have energy and enough morale to do his aura punches, you can literally skip his entire attack strings and go to his 5th basic attack, which is his aura punches, and then the final punch that will apply the collapse effect to the enemies. Another part I could see people not understanding is how to apply the collapse effect correctly. So here's like a side-by-side comparison. On the left side, I did his final punch with his aura punches, and on the right side, I ended his aura punches with his EX skill uppercut. Now let's see how long the stun duration will be. So you can obviously see with your eyeballs that the left side of Dullahan stays longer in the stun state. So as long as you end with his final punch in his basic attack, it will apply the collapse states even if you prematurely end his aura punches. Another one is, can you apply the collapse effect even if the enemy is already in their stun state? The answer to that question is a yes. As long as you didn't do his final basic attack, the collapse effect will not be applied to the enemy. And also note, you can apply it once on the enemy, and if they recovered from the stun state, you can reapply it again. So you can't apply 2 collapse effect on the enemy when they're stunned. It's basically stated on his core passive skill. Now his ult is the stock standard ult with some wicked effects and animation of him slamming down the ground, which does high damage and does a lot of daze. But other than that, nothing really out of the ordinary, no special buffs on your characters. But yeah, I think I've covered the big things you should be aware of Lighter's kit and some small gameplay details about him. So subscribe so I can stay in the basement, and leave a like for the algorithm, and comment down below what are your thoughts about the man with the few words Lighter. But yeah, anyways, there's probably a video covering his teams for version 1.4 in the end card, so just click that or some other random video. But yeah, that's pretty much it for me. Bye!